Hey guys, it's Vanessa. Obviously some really horrible news and a tragic outcome that nobody wanted in the disappearance of soldier Vanessa Guillen out of Fort Hood in Texas. I want to talk about Vanessa's case first. I want to go through, for those of you who don't know all of the details, even those of you who do, but maybe aren't caught up on everything that's happened today. We'll go over her disappearance, the information that we have, all of the details surrounding finding her body yesterday, and then there was more today, and then the subsequent suicide and arrest made in her case. And then just something I've never done before, but I feel compelled to do so in her case. I'd like to throw out an offer at the end of this video for anyone who's interested. I do have another video about Vanessa where I start at April 22nd when she disappeared, and I go through everything up to June 22nd, and I will link that in the description of this video. I do, of course, want to mention that there is going to be quite a bit of graphic content based on the information that was newly released today. Many of the horrific details of Vanessa Guillen's murder have now been released. As we know, they first discovered Vanessa's partial remains on Tuesday, June 30th, near Leon River, which is approximately 26 miles from Fort Hood. Then on Wednesday, July 1st, they recovered more of her remains. This obviously led to people speculating, was she dismembered, what was exactly done to her, and today we received a lot of those new details. First of all, let me just quickly introduce the scumbag list of characters that are involved in this. Aaron Robinson was accused of sexually harassing and stalking Vanessa. He's a married, active junior soldier. On June 30th, this coward fled the base wearing only shorts, and when confronted by U.S. Marshals, Killeen Police Department, and the Lone Star Fugitive Task Force, he pulled out a gun and shot himself. Vanessa's older sister, Myra, recalls that when she met him, he was completely dismissive of her concerns about Vanessa and actually laughed in her face. The second suspect that's been arrested in Vanessa's case is the married girlfriend of Aaron Robinson, Cecily Aguilar. If you believe her version of events, Aaron Robinson was already working in the armory room that day on April 22nd when Vanessa arrived. Allegedly, Vanessa saw photos of Aguilar on his phone and confronted him about having an affair with a soldier's wife. He supposedly got upset and told her that she wasn't going to ruin his military career and then killed her. I don't believe this version of events at all for a few different reasons. I personally believe that this was premeditated and directly related to Robinson thinking she was going to turn him in for the sexual harassment. I think he may have lied to his girlfriend to include her in the story and kind of manipulate or compel her to help. First, we know that Vanessa was not scheduled to go to work that day and was called in. In my opinion, this points towards a plan to kill her and lure her there. We know that her pin was not used that day. I do believe the statement that he said that she would not ruin his military career, but that's about it. Obviously, he's not going to tell his girlfriend that he killed Vanessa because he was stalking her and sexually harassing her, so I believe that he made up the part about her seeing photos of her on his phone. With that story that he made up that doesn't make sense to me, it's almost like he's protecting his girlfriend's honor in some type of twisted way, and that he had to kill Vanessa, so now he needs her help. So regardless of the exact events that led up to it, we do know that Aaron Robinson and Vanessa got into an argument and he bludgeoned her to death with a hammer right there in the armory room. Obviously, there would be blood spatter all over that room. Microscopic drops that he wouldn't even be able to see. It would be all over. And according to the family's lawyer, it was all over the room. And even if he thought he did the world's best job cleaning it, there would still be trace evidence everywhere. He then hid her body in a 3-foot pelican case, storing it in the armory room as well. He was then able to leave the armory room and go off base to purchase cleaning supplies. I would appreciate it if someone who's familiar with this setup, because I'm not, please explain to me in comments how he knew that no one would go into that room while he was getting cleaning supplies. I also imagine that there would be blood leaking out of the pelican case as well onto the floor. So none of this really makes sense to me as far as how no one noticed this or investigated this room for clues when we know that that was the last place that she was seen. This is just not looking very good on Fort Hood at all. Around 8:30 p.m. that evening, a witness saw Aaron Robinson carrying the pelican case to his vehicle. Robinson seemed to be struggling with it, having trouble maneuvering it. Again, why this wasn't investigated immediately, I have no idea. Even with that witness, no warrants were taken out and no searches were done until after they found Vanessa's remains. Robinson then drove the case to the Leon River area, which would explain the cell phone ping from Vanessa's phone in Belton. I know they tried to turn around and say that that wasn't accurate information, but I'm wondering, looking at everything now, it does seem like that would make sense. So maybe that was something that leaked that wasn't supposed to. When Robinson got there, he figured out that he was going to need help disposing of Vanessa's body, so he asked his girlfriend, Cecily Aguilar, to help him, and naturally, she agreed. Robinson and Aguilar then used machetes to hack up and dismember Vanessa's body. In addition to that, they tried to burn her, and when it didn't work to their satisfaction, they bought lime and cement and enclosed her in sort of a tomb, if you will. They then buried her under some rocks in a shallow grave. When they located part of her remains on June 30th, which in a tragic coincidence is also her sister Myra's birthday, they said that Vanessa's face was crushed so badly that they had trouble with identification and had to use strands of her hair to identify her. Her teeth had been smashed in with the hammer during the attack. In another shocking and disgusting update today, it was revealed that Cecily Aguilar has been released on bond on her third-degree felony charge. Yesterday, Vanessa's family, joined with their attorney Natalie, had a very emotionally charged press conference discussing the remains being found and their feelings on the way Fort Hood has handled this entire investigation. I got extremely emotional listening to Vanessa's little sister Lupe speak. It was one of the most heart-wrenching things I have ever listened to.
My remains have yet not been confirmed, but I still don't lose hope. My mother's on bed right now with pills. Why? Because they lied to our faces every single day that passed. Every single day, which is 2 months, more than 2 months. My sister Vanessa Guillen was sexually harassed, yet nothing was done to it. Fort Hood lacks of responsibility, safety, and respect because they didn't respect my sister. They didn't keep my sister safe. They always try to cover up for each other. Why? My sister's a human too. She deserves respect. She deserves to be heard. Because if this can happen to my sister, it can happen to anyone else. My sister was also sexually harassed, and this led to this. They don't protect our suffrage women and men. They're the ones putting their life at risk every day. For the nation and for us. Just like my sister. How can this happen on military base? How can this happen while she was on duty? How can this just happen and they let it go under the rug like if it was nothing? They take sexual harassment, sexual assault as a joke. Just see the hashtag I am Vanessa Guillen. All those men and women in our service suffering from sexual harassment, suffering from sexual assault because they report it, yet they take it as a joke. My sister's no joke. My sister's a human being. And I want justice. And I want answers. Because my sister did not do this to herself. Someone did it.
The family attorney, Natalie Kawam, also had some choice words to say about Fort Hood and their investigation.
Thank you for coming to our press conference today. We appreciate the public's support in finding Vanessa. As you know, there has been a lot of updates since we last spoke. We believe that her remains were found. We believe that the suspect had killed himself in the morning. And that, unfortunately, doesn't provide us much information about how this happened, why this happened, why a beautiful young soldier is not with us today. They should be ashamed of themselves. Protocol was breached in every manner. We lost one of our own on our own base. Unacceptable, should never happen ever. Not just once, one person, too many is what happened here. I have Vanessa Guillen's family here, her father, her sisters, Congressman Tulsi Gabbard was kind enough to come in and meet the family and give her support. Like we said before, we demand a congressional investigation. This should never have happened. And we will never know what happened ever until we get a congressional investigation, because everything we were given was lies. It was evasive. They were not sincere. They were actually very disingenuous to us. I don't know who's covering up for who, but it doesn't matter. We lost a life. We lost a beautiful young soldier. And it's time we fix our system. Women should not be afraid to come forth about sexual harassment. They should not fear reporting sexual harassment. This is unacceptable. It's 2020. What's happening? Sexual harassment's not criminal? That was what we were told. Well, guess what? We have a dead person because of sexual harassment. It is criminal. We want legislation. We need legislation so this never happens again. There was a strong young woman who died. She was strong. She ran. She played soccer. She was going for a hike that day. If she can get killed, who couldn't get killed? This could happen to any of our mothers, our sisters, our daughters. Enough is enough. One person too many. We want a bill in her name, I am Vanessa Guillen, ready to be passed that says you don't be afraid to report sexual harassment. You report it, and you need a third party to report it too. Like any other private company, when somebody gets sexually harassed, you call the EEOC, independent agency. Nothing to do with the company. How is it that when you are in the military, you can only report internally? How can they feel safe? They're getting blackballed. They're getting, what is it called? Insubordination remarks, comments. Women do not, and men do not feel safe reporting sexual harassment in the military. You go to the webpage of I am Vanessa Guillen, and you will see hundreds and hundreds of soldiers' stories that are so disheartening, that all these women face this kind of harassment and couldn't say anything. Harassment and assault, because harassment leads to assault. Just because someone doesn't want to talk about it doesn't mean it didn't happen. And today we're here to demand a congressional investigation into how the protocol was breached, how this family, who deserves answers, never got any. We couldn't even know the name of the person she worked with that day, who we understand is the person who killed himself. What planet are we on? It's wrong. We need transparency.
We also know that Tim Miller from Equusearch was the one to call the Guillens and let them know about the remains that were discovered. He advised that no one from the military even bothered to call and let them know. He described the call to Vanessa's family as one of the most emotional that he has ever had. He also stated that the last time they were out there searching, about a week ago before she was discovered, they did find the lid to the Pelican case. He said that with that discovery, that they knew that it was probably not going to be a good outcome and that the search for Vanessa was soon to be over.
How she was found, I firm believer God had a hand in something on this and wanted her found.
Is there a message you have to the family?
You know what I told the family, and you're going to get me choked up. I told the family, I said that there's no words or anything I can do at this time, no words or anything anybody can do at this time to take your pain away. That pain is real. It's a huge, huge loss for a family. Not a damn reason in the world something like this should have happened. Family's got a lot of grieving to do right now, and let me tell you all, people, that grieving process is long and painful. So, I don't know. There's no words. There are no words. There are no words to say what this family's going through. I've been there once in my own time in my life. My own daughter disappeared. I'm one person that knows what they're going through. And I'm one person that knows how painful and how long it takes to recover. And my life has never been the same. And I'm going to tell you, theirs won't either. Theirs won't either.
Can you just tell us that we saw you walk back there? Are you able to describe at all the area where the remains were found?
It's just an area that looks like everything else right now. An area that just looks like everything else. Whoever did it, I got to give them a double A+. They did a hell of a good job.
Were the remains concealed?
Oh, yeah.
Like buried?
Yeah. Shallow grave. Covered up, just everything blended in together. Everything. Like I said, I know, personally, I was standing on top of her.
You guys were out here
not knowing it.
Last Monday?
Been out here like a lot of times. I was out here 2 days ago. That's when we decided we need to put another search together. We was going to start tomorrow morning. And
What brought you back here to this place again?
it's part of the investigation. After we found that evidence that we knew was connected, we just knew she had to be somewhere close.
So in a nutshell, you don't want to get into detail, but you're confident these remains are her. They're Vanessa.
Yeah, well, I am, but of course I'm not a forensic anthropologist, so we've got to wait for the medical examiner's reports and positive ID and autopsy to determine cause of death and so on and so forth. So our job is search, and I think we did a hell of a good job on what we did. Unfortunately, tomorrow we'll get a call on another case. So now let's let the investigators do their job, the medical examiners do their job, and let's hope things develop and there's some justice for Vanessa, and I anticipate there will be.
I know sometimes these things can take a long time to identify. Did law enforcement give you any indication about a time frame?
I don't think this is going to take a long time. I don't believe it's going to take a long time. Could be wrong. Been wrong a million times. But I don't anticipate there will be.
What brought them out here today?
I don't want to say it's part of the investigation.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you, sir.
So I don't know if this version of events that was given was coming from Cecily Aguilar or was coming from the military. And of course, Aaron Robinson has conveniently killed himself, so that's that. And of course, these are just my opinions and speculations, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It just seems like they kind of sat around like, how can we frame this story so we conveniently sidestep this whole pesky sexual harassment, sexual assault issue that's huge and a whole nother can of worms that needs to be addressed. It has nothing to do with the fact that he watched her in the shower or followed her when she was on her runs. No, it was the fact that she saw a random pic on his phone and threatened to destroy his military career and expose his affair. It is important to note that Aaron Robinson was not the person that called Vanessa into work that day. It's also important to remember that because this is so new and there's so much going on right now, that there probably will be a lot of facts that are changing in the next several days. This is just based on what we know today. As I was finishing this video and checked for updates, I did see that Fort Hood held a press conference today on Vanessa Guillen's murder. They are stating that there is no evidence to corroborate the claims that Vanessa was sexually harassed. They also said there's no evidence to support the fact that it was Aaron Robinson that Vanessa was complaining to her family about. This is contrary to what I heard their family attorney say yesterday, so it will be interesting to see what comes out of that. Here is a clip from the press conference today.
State and local law enforcement agencies, and they also remained in contact with Vanessa's family since that day. Since the beginning, all involved in the search have worked tirelessly to find Vanessa. In the last 3 days, the investigation has led to the discovery of human remains in Belton, Texas, the arrest of a person from the local community, and the suicide of a soldier in Killeen who is pending apprehension. The remains recently discovered have not yet been positively identified. When we have the DNA analysis, we will share it. Absent this information, there is other evidence relevant to this case that helps shed light on Vanessa's disappearance. Joining me today in this update is Special Agent Damon Phelps, Senior Special Agent for the local CID detachment. Also assisting are members of the supporting agencies. The law enforcement team working this case has done just an incredible job, and they have my personal and most sincere gratitude for the unrelenting effort they put into this case. The focus of our brief today is on Specialist Guillen's disappearance. The investigation is not over, and our efforts are ongoing. The crime scenes of the abduction and the site of the remains are still active as the search for evidence continues. Similarly, interviews are ongoing in the criminal investigation, and likewise, the thorough investigation into sexual harassment will continue until it's complete and ready for the command's review. As an aside, the criminal investigation has not found any connection between sexual harassment and Vanessa's disappearance. However, all sexual harassment allegations are being investigated in this case, as they are in every other instance. Because sexual harassment is categorically adverse to our Army values, at my request, the FORCECOM commander has directed the Inspector General to A, examine the SHARP program implementation at Fort Hood, B, assess whether the command climate is supportive of soldiers reporting incidents of sexual harassment and sexual assault at Fort Hood, and C, to identify any potential systemic issues with the SHARP program at Fort Hood, as well as any resource complaints. I requested this independent review to provide transparency and ensure we implement and maintain the highest standards of the Army here at Fort Hood. Going forward, this exemplary team of law enforcement, with all its technical and professional competence, will persist until all facts relative to the criminal behavior and personal misconduct are uncovered. Concurrently, CID, the 3rd Cavalry Regiment, and the Casualty Assistance Office will continue to inform and assist the Guillen family. As these activities conclude, I'll be able to share more information with you. At this time, I turn the podium over to Special Agent Phelps to provide an update on the criminal investigation. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Special Agent Damon Phelps with the U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Command, and I'm one of the lead special agents investigating the disappearance of Specialist Vanessa Guillen. I want to start off by saying that the senior leaders of the CID Command met with the family yesterday and was completely transparent on all the investigative matters that we could share. So please keep in mind that the family is fully briefed and abreast of all the current facts. Allow me to say that this has been and continues to be an extremely trying and painful time for the family and the friends of Specialist Guillen. And I think I can speak for all law enforcement here today that our hearts go out to the family, and we are and have been doing everything in our power to bring Vanessa home and those responsible for her disappearance to be brought to justice. To date, our investigation has identified 2 suspects in the connection with Specialist Guillen's disappearance. We are aware that there have been statements made that there are others, but at this point that is incorrect. We have identified 2 suspects. It is very troubling and irresponsible that other soldiers' names have been placed on social media sites and implicated in this investigation when there was absolutely no credible information or evidence that those individuals have anything at all to do with this investigation. In fact, we have interviewed people in the course of our investigation while looking for leads who posted these false allegations, and they have admitted to us that they have no evidence or information whatsoever to post these allegations and falsely accuse people. One of the suspects is an estranged wife of a former Fort Hood soldier who is currently in custody of Bell County Jail, awaiting charges by civil authorities. Because she is a civilian and in the custody of local authorities, Army CID will not be releasing any further information concerning her or her status at this time. The second suspect is identified as Specialist E4 Aaron David Robinson, a 20-year-old soldier who was assigned to Alpha Company, 3rd Cavalry Regiment at Fort Hood. He entered the Army in October 2017, and he was assigned as a combat engineer. His home of record is listed as Calumet City, Illinois. As we included in our CID press release yesterday, special agents from the U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Command, along with the U.S. Marshals, Killeen Police Department, and the Lone Star Fugitive Task Force, were attempting to locate the soldier after he fled Fort Hood late Tuesday. While law enforcement agencies attempted to make contact with the suspect in Killeen, Texas, Specialist Robinson reportedly displayed a weapon and took his own life. There has also been a widespread allegation that Specialist Robinson was the superior of Specialist Guillen. This is false. Robinson was an armor who worked in a building adjacent to the building where Specialist Guillen worked, and he was in no way Specialist Guillen's in her chain of command. We are still investigating their interactions, but at this time there is no credible information or reports that Specialist Robinson sexually harassed Specialist Guillen. If anyone does have credible information to corroborate these allegations, we strongly urge them to come forward and report to us or to their chain of command. Additionally, as you're also aware, the Texas Rangers, with the assistance of Army CID and other agencies, are still processing the scene at the Leon River in Bell County, Texas, where human remains were discovered on Tuesday. This is still an active scene and part of an ongoing criminal investigation, and a positive identification of the remains has not been made. The Texas Rangers are the lead agency at this site, and I would refer any questions about the specific scene to the Texas Rangers. I can tell you our agents are working very closely with the Armed Forces Medical Examiner to expedite identification of the remains. We will release information on those remains as soon as we can and after notification is made with the next of kin. We also want to be very clear, we have no credible information or reports that Vanessa Guillen was sexually assaulted. We are not aware of any official reports of sexual harassment of Specialist Guillen or any other soldier on her behalf when this important issue was first raised by the family. We are aware early on in PFC Guillen's disappearance that the Guillen family had made statements to the media concerning sexual harassment allegations, but again, we had no further information at this time of that claim. During the course of the investigation and into the disappearance of Specialist Guillen, CID agents uncovered a statement on May 7th that could be considered potential sexual harassment. After subsequent investigation, another allegation of verbal harassment involved in the same individual was discovered. However, subsequent interviews have failed to corroborate this allegation. Nevertheless, we are still investigating. Unfortunately, it did not produce any viable leads as to PF Specialist Guillen's whereabouts. CID agents are working closely with the Fort Hood investigating officer assigned to look into the sexual harassment allegations at the unit. Specialist Robinson was not involved in these allegations. Included in our press release yesterday, there are obviously pieces of information and evidence that cannot be shared with the public during an active criminal investigation. Doing so can seriously jeopardize the charging and successful prosecution of individuals. When important investigative information is prematurely released, criminals can and will destroy evidence, conspire to change their stories, build false alibis, etc. If anyone has any additional information pertinent to this ongoing investigation, we ask that you contact Army CID immediately. Thank you very much.
If you haven't already, I strongly suggest you go over and check out hashtag I am Vanessa Guillen. I think we're all very much aware that this is not even close to an isolated incident at Fort Hood and anywhere. Vanessa's older sister Myra even said that she doesn't want this to go away or be hidden, and that we should continue pushing for answers and getting to the bottom of what's going on. And I completely agree with her. Ever since I did the last Vanessa video, I have been astonished by how many people have reached out to me telling me their stories as well. My contact information is in the About section of my channel, and I would like to offer my public platform as a way to get your stories out for those of you who are comfortable and want to do so. I will keep your anonymity or any wishes that you have, I will respect, but I do want to continue collecting these and bringing light to this issue and continue exposing. I know that it's not easy at all, and I want to say thank you for your service, for your bravery, for those of you who are coming forward, and we all stand behind you. I will continue to follow the investigation on Vanessa Guillen's murder, and I will keep you updated on anything new that develops. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you'll be notified of more videos on this case and others.